Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Inspiration in Action, podcast for creatives. In this episode, I'll be talking to Helga Stenzel, a mixed media visual artist from London. She works across a wide range of media including illustration, photography, video, and animation. Helga started out as an art director in advertising industry. There she learned the basics of branding, marketing, and strategic thinking. This set of skills is now helping her to create engaging content for some of the most popular accounts on social media. In our talk, Helga shares the challenges that she faced when she just graduated from college, ups and downs of her own small business, and the detail of her creative process. I hope you enjoy!
Hi!
Hi, Dasha!
It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for spending your Saturday evening with me. I feel honored.
Thank you, actually. That's so great. I was so much looking forward to this conversation, and it's actually a bit awkward. We should maybe let everyone know that we are both Russian speakers.
Yes, we are both Russian speakers. That's true.
Yeah, but you have a very awesome British accent. This is so cool.
Oh, do I? Oh, thank you.
Well, accent. I guess mine is a bit American, but nah, that's where I learned my English anyway.
Have you lived in America before?
I just spent a couple of summers there, but it was enough to pick up the accent, I think.
Right. Yeah. I think for us, for those who are not native speakers, it's easier to pick up accents because when I lived in America, I started sounding like an American after a few months. But when I came back here, I think I started sounding a bit English. So when you don't have your own accent, you just pick up the accent wherever you are, I think.
I agree. So please start with describing what you do, your content, because I think it's really hard to define for me. And like, how would you define it yourself?
Yes, this is something I have been struggling with myself. I never knew how to define myself. Am I a photographer? Am I an art director? Am I a designer or a content creator or an influencer even? So for years, I've thought that I'm not an artist because I was sure that artists are supposed to create really meaningful, deep work. And I've always been very self-conscious because I knew that my work wasn't deep or meaningful enough. But now I think I am old enough to realize that actually the fact that my work is very light-hearted and entertaining doesn't make me less of an artist. I am an artist, but in my own way. So going back to your question, I am a visual artist, a multidisciplinary visual artist. And this is how I define myself these days.
Okay, and that's actually very interesting to learn that it's, well, hard to define. And I think maybe all of artists, they come through the point when they try to find the meaning in their art and see like if this is just something I do for fun or this is really something meaningful and impactful. And I think, like, no doubt your stuff is really, really influencing people because yes, it's lighthearted, but it's unique. It's no one sees things the way you do them.
Thank you.
What I really love about your stuff is that you connect the things that in real life no one would ever connect, and that's just it lets people see things differently as well, and also it gives them happiness, love, and I think this is the great meaning for the art.
Thank you. I have to add that it's all about training your eye. And every single day I receive amazing messages from my followers of all the things that they spot in the streets or, you know, they see in their coffee cups or in the cupboards. So I think that once you switch your creative brain on, it becomes very easy to spot those things. It's all about tuning in, and it's all about actively looking. So I am definitely not unique. It's just that I practice this skill a bit more often because I do it for work. I'm very lucky to be practicing it during the workday. The more you look at things, the more you see. That's for sure.
I agree, but what makes you unique? Well, I definitely agree that everyone can do it. What makes you unique? That you do it actually, and you create content from whatever you notice in your real life, like everyday life. And I totally get the thing about training your eye, because I get a lot of questions about composition, how all my lines, they are so very well organized. Like, yes, because when I walk, I see like frames and lines and diagonals everywhere, and at some point it just happens like that. It just, you see it everywhere when you train your eye. I do agree a lot with that.
Yeah, your compositions are perfections, I think. Is this how you see the world, in this perfect geometric forms?
Yeah, well, I create my own perfect world. Of course, don't see like that stuff everywhere, but I notice things, and then I introduce them to my photos and kind of like recreate a whole new world out of that. But let's get back to you, and please tell us how it all started for you. Like, how I know that you graduated from college, St. Martin's, I think.
Yeah.
In London. So how did you, well, anyway, did it start from childhood, your passion for art? Or?
Yeah, I've always been artistic, and I had my first exhibition at the age of 6 when I glued my entire collection of pictures to the walls of our flat. My mum was delighted, but I think mostly by the fact that I used soap for glue, so it was all easily removable. That was my first exhibition ever. But then I went to an art school, and I graduated from there at the age of 15. Then I continued to study art. I did a fashion design course, which was followed by graphic design at Central St. Martin's, and I specialized in advertising. And this is where I think I learned to think conceptually. The greatest thing about St. Martin's for me was that it really taught me how to think. We never learned any technical skills, like there wasn't Photoshop on the program, nothing was there. But somehow we all learned how to think. And this is what I'm very grateful for this ability to see differently and think differently. Think as a problem solver.
All right. And then how did you get to wherever you are now?
I worked in advertising, and then I started my own business, which was children's products, because by then I had 2 little children, and I really wanted to tailor my day to their needs so that I could spend as much time as I could with them. And the most logical thing to do for me was children's products. So I created T-shirts first, and then gloves. Have you seen them?
Yes.
Yeah? So
you have them?
Yes, actually, I even have a pair here, which I can demonstrate if you like.
Yes,
I still have them. They're in season, so I'm still packing orders and sending them out. So they're just like regular gloves, but they make monster faces when you put your hands together like this. And they're called Wormsters. So this is why I started my Instagram account. I wanted to support these. And if you scroll down my feed a little bit, you'll see that the initial posts were all about gloves. So I was doing gloves outside, gloves inside, gloves in bed, gloves in the cupboard, gloves. And then I realized that people are fed up with gloves and they want to see something different. And this is where I started thinking, okay, maybe I need to introduce more creativity, like, you know, children's projects or children's activities or
Like
printouts or something like that. So it was still revolving around childhood and children's things, but it was already a bit more creative and a bit more visual. So gradually I started gaining followers, and then because I've always had ideas in my head, I started using this account for, like, you know, as a personal blog where I could just post my ideas and hear people's feedback. Also, that happens because gloves are very seasonal. You can only promote them for months a year, and then you have to do something else for the rest of the year. And yes, over the time I grew my account, and it happened so that the art, the creative part, is now the biggest part of my business. So I still have gloves and I still sell them in wintertime, but they're no longer the bread and butter. It's other stuff which now feeds me.
Yeah, I actually read your story, how you started the Instagram account. It was very short in one of your posts, but you mentioned a sketchbook that you had for years and that you collected some your ideas there.
Yeah.
You have it there?
I wonder where it is. No, it's not on me, but I'll find it, and then I'll post a few photos for you in my stories. It's just lots of ideas jotted down on pages. It's thousands of them in one sketchbook. It's like really, really small ideas, and then maybe storyboards as well.
Were the ideas for photos or for some products or for DIYs? What was?
It's for everything. And actually, I think this is why this sketchbook is so helpful, because it's very disorganized. And sometimes I have to go through all of the ideas to get to the one which I wanted to get to. And having done this journey, I always come up with new ideas because they like breed all the time. So I think, having this sketchbook definitely helps me to come up with more ideas and maybe dig into some old ideas as well. Sometimes, you know, when you have an idea and you know that it has potential, but it hasn't really got its shine yet. It just has to ripen a bit more. So I use my sketchbook to, for the ideas to get more mature and finally over the months see the light of the world. I'm sure you have a similar thing.
I do have like this. I don't have a sketchbook. For some reason, when I was just starting out, I tried to have a sketchbook, but for some reason that just didn't work for me, because those ideas, whichever idea I sketched, it just never got to the final photo. I don't know, some kind of mystery, but I think that having a sketchbook is really helpful. And what I'm interested in, do you just have sketches there, or do you also like put some notes, what materials you will use, like which colors you will use? Do you have that as well? Or
yeah, totally. It has everything. Like sometimes I would even have a description of the idea. If I'm not sure of the visual of the image, I would just put a couple of words to describe what I have in mind. Because very often after I've watched the film or visited a museum or seen something in the street, I have a feel for something which I can't yet describe or put into a picture. And this is where I may just write down what I saw, saying that in the street I saw this, this and this, circle it, and then maybe get back to this a couple of months later and see whether it turns into something or not. Some thoughts just stay as thoughts. So
yeah, I know. Well, I have actually like several storage systems, and that's like completely messed up. It's not the good way. I do recommend people to have just one, but for example, since I'm a photographer, I'm searching for locations, and I have like a special folder for photos of all sorts of locations.
Yeah.
That have like lists of people, of models who I want to work with. So that's kind of like a special also idea, face idea sketchbook, let's say. And then there is also a note in my notes application in my phone where I just put down like literally little text about ideas that I want to shoot. So yeah, it's kind of like it works for me.
It seems pretty organized to me.
Well,
I can't see any chaos there. All organized.
okay. What I wanted to ask you is that you mentioned that sometimes you get ideas from like a movie or from just things that you see in the street. And where do you get well, the usual question, where do you get your inspiration from? Is it more from art, from different kinds of art, or is it from, like me specifically, I get my inspiration mostly from visual arts? And what about you? How it is for you?
Yeah, I think I'm a visual person too. So visual art it is. And also, I think for me, it's challenging at times to just get started. In advertising, we have this concept of getting all the bad ideas out before you get good ideas. So you can't really get a good idea right away. Sometimes you can, but it's very rare. So you really need to get through intermediate, mediocre ideas to get through the one you're looking for.
That's a helpful exercise, I guess.
Yeah. So sometimes I just enter the word in Google and see what comes up. So, for example, this is how I approach weekend hashtag projects on Instagram, whether it's squares or layers or another generic word, which has so many meanings and, you know, a too open brief for me. I would just enter this word in Google and see what Google shows me in images. And then I'm like, wow, squares. Oh, it's a net and it's a window and it's a little square made out of paper and it's a little door and it's a cake and it's so many things. And that gets my brain thinking and that gives me a good starting point. And I might find something which I like, be it a visual or just a concept or maybe the sound of it, or maybe it just reminds me of something, and then I bring this memory to life and start digging into it. So this is how my creative process works. It's first it's Google.
Okay, that's interesting. And my question is then, do you intentionally sit down and work on a piece of content? How do you map it out for yourself? Like, do you have like a plan for a month or for a week, or do you just follow the sketchbook, or how is it organized?
I have personal projects and I also have client work, which is always my priority because there's strict deadlines which I need to meet. So I usually try to schedule my personal projects around client work. Which unfortunately doesn't always work because I tend to underestimate the amount of time I spend on client work. But yeah, and I work on my personal projects on weekends as well sometimes. But to me, working is also sitting down on a bench in the park with my sketchbook. It's also doing something while I wait for the meal to cook. I always work in a way because for me, certain parts of my job which don't include photography or retouching, they're just pure relaxation. When I sit down to come up with new ideas, it's the best possible pastime for me.
I can so much, I can relate so very much to this, because sometimes I have like lots and lots of work and I just can't wait when I get down to Photoshop and Lightroom just to do photos, post-processing. Like, give me that. Like, I need that for meditation. Literally.
Yeah, it's like a meditation. I completely agree. Yeah. So we're lucky.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me more about your client work and what is it like? Is it also very much like your content on Instagram, or is it something completely different?
It's a bit of both. I sometimes do sponsored posts, which are normally done through a marketing agency or a couple of marketing agencies. And then also I have my regular clients, which I have been working for about 2 years now. And I very rarely post their work on my own account because I don't think that all of it is relevant.
Okay.
Hello guys. I just look at all the lovely questions and hellos. Yes, and that work I really appreciate because it's my bread and butter. It's there. It's something that I can rely on because you as a photographer obviously know that we don't get regularity in our creative life. It's either a lot or nothing, and you cannot really plan ahead too much. But this is something I can really plan around. So it's always that, it's the core. And I know that this work will be there for the next few months. And then it's either licensing work where people just want to purchase certain visuals they've seen on Instagram and they just want it in a particular format, or they want to tweak the color a little bit, or, you know, just to suit their particular project. So it's this, or it's new commissions.
Okay, I see. And my next question would be, you mentioned licensing your work. And I know that one of your biggest dreams was to design a cover for a book. For a real.
Yeah. And it hasn't come true yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. It's yet to come in a couple of, I'm sure it's going to come in the next 2 years. Okay. If we talk again in December 2020, I'm sure I will tell you, Dasha, it's come true. This is all right. But it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. And what about the second dream, designing something for London Underground?
Again, no luck with that.
No luck. No.
Not yet. Still waiting.
Okay. But I'm sure you'll get there. I thought I heard something that you found a publisher for your own book. Are you working on a book of your own, or was I?
I have a couple of ideas which I would like to turn into a book eventually. And I've started working on them a bit more seriously because I have the visuals for the book, but they also have to come with a story. So I'm working on a story at the moment, but I don't want to advertise it too much because I have no idea how long it's going to take me to actually finalize the book. But yeah, there will be a book someday. I think next year it will happen.
Okay. That's great. And I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I really want a copy.
You will get yours. I'll sign it for you.
Oh, yeah. I'm liking this way. Another thing I wanted to ask that, you have so many followers, and definitely people who are watching us right now, they would love to know like a recipe for a great post on Instagram or for any work of art, maybe. Do you have any?
I don't have a recipe for a great Instagram post. I'll tell you a story. The most successful post in my account, the most successful post ever, was a video, which actually my son taught me. It's when you write the word boy, and then you draw the outline of the boy's face around those letters, incorporating the letters. This wasn't even my idea. It had 120,000 views. Whoa. It was the best performing post for me. And I don't know how and why it happened. And I clearly stated that it wasn't my idea. So people, certainly knew that it was someone else's design, but still it went viral, and a lot of accounts
Almost your
copied
idea.
it and reposted it. And yeah, so I have no recipe. But I always try to approach my posts and my captions with a dash of humor.
Yeah,
again, this is the nature of my art, so I'm sure it's not going to work for everybody, but for me it is always a bit of that irony, humor, sarcasm at times. But
of course that's also kind of a very important part of your creation. I think that's what makes it stand out. That's your very personal humor touch. And I have a question about your book. Is it going to be a book for adults or for children?
It's a children's book.
Okay.
Yeah, I think adults should enjoy it too, but it's designed with children in mind.
Yeah, and your content may seem like a hobby to many people, I think, because it's very light and you use all the items from everyday life. But of course it's a lot of work and the content is of amazing quality. But my question is, do you have any actual hobbies? Because I myself struggle with this. I wasn't a photographer from the very beginning of my life. I was my major was linguistics, and then I turned to marketing, and only then I realized that I was interested in photography. And now kind of like my hobby turned into my profession. Yeah. Do you have any hobbies that are like unrelated to your art?
I have a great interest in psychology, in positive psychology. I've been reading a lot on that, and it helps me. It helps me in my career. It helps me with my children. It helps me to overcome certain difficulties in my personal life. But yeah, this is something I enjoy reading about and going to seminars and travel at times to listen to a particular speaker. And also I like playing the guitar, which I haven't done for months now, but I do enjoy that, yeah.
Great. And actually getting back to that, I saw that you recently posted about some seminar about gratitude, that you try to have more and more of it in your everyday life. And are you succeeding with that now? Does it help?
It does.
Have like gratitude journal or?
Yeah, I don't have a gratitude journal per se, but I just try to take everything that's happening around me with gratitude. So even, for example, if something bad happens, I'm trying to see positive behind it, because you just never know the full picture. And it's always important to keep that in mind when you're getting frustrated about something or upset about something, that probably it happens for a reason. And it's actually the world trying to save you from something or trying to do the best for you. So this is my perception now, and this is what I'm trying to practice in my daily life more and more. Of course, I'm not successful all the time, but it definitely helps.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with this, because about the big picture, you never know if this whatever situation in life that you're having right now, if it seems bad, it actually can be really, really good in the long run. You just don't see it yet. So you just I think like what has been very helpful for me recently is that I try not to judge any situation that I am going through, or just taking it as, okay, this is a challenge and it's gonna help me to be better, to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Every difficulty is an opportunity for growth, I think. And I think once you genuinely believe in this, it really becomes a very good instrument in your life, and it becomes much easier to overcome those difficulties and, you know, tricky situations later on.
Yeah. And I also saw your post about meh days.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome those? How do you deal with them? And no.
Yeah, the meh campaign actually was one of my favorite campaigns this year for me. It was a campaign for Honda, and I was delighted to work with a client who wasn't that concerned about their logo being there or their car being there. So they really let me explore the creativity behind meh moments of the day, and we created a lot of wonderful videos together, which I will post in the next couple of weeks. But dealing with meh moments, I think meh moments are luxury, actually, because if you're having a meh moment, it means that nothing is throwing you over the edge, right? So you're pretty comfortable and that you're just bloody bored, and it is a luxury. So I think that meh is just it's a first world pleasure, if you ask me. It's boredom, and if you think about the past, only aristocracy and very rich people could afford to be bored, and these days I don't know, 90% of us find themselves bored from time to time. So I really cherish those moments, to be honest.
That's an interesting approach, actually. Yeah, so Honda was one of your favorite projects. What were the other ones, like commercial projects that were really exciting for you?
At the moment, I'm working with Sugru again. Sugru is a moldable glue. It's a small British brand founded by a lovely lady called Jane. And it's the idea behind it is that the product itself resembles Play-Doh. So it's very soft and nice to touch. But once it sets, it turns into rubber. And it's a fantastic product for repairing things and for customizing things and for, you know, upcycling things you would otherwise throw away. And I've been working with Sugru for more than a year now, and they never cease to surprise me with all the opportunities that they open up for us with their products. So this is, I think, for me, one of the best projects, because I also get to make things with my hands, which I also love. And it's also close to my heart, because I firmly believe that the more we reuse, the more we recycle, the less we throw away, the better our planet does, and the better world we leave for our children. So this project is very important, and this client is very important for me on a personal level, because I feel like I contribute towards better future for our children. I know it's not well, too much, but this is the feeling that I have about it.
Yeah, but don't you find it weird when we talk to people about something very big? It feels kind of embarrassing. Like, I'm actually, when I was trying to explain the idea behind these live interviews, and behind my whole sharing my process idea, I was kind of trying to drill down, and I realized that I want to make the world a better place. And I'm like, okay, and how do I do it? When I help people create and not destruct, this is my way to make the world a better place.
Absolutely,
and
yes.
Sometimes it actually feels kind of embarrassing to tell people, I want to do this. Like, I really want to help. But yeah, because it sounds so big and so vague, maybe. I don't know, but sometimes just feel embarrassed to say this.
Well, I don't think what you feel is embarrassment. It just feels a bit, I can't find the word myself actually. It just feels like you're too small and the job is too big. But I also believe that it's important to remember that if we do our bit, we do make it a better place. You know, if you pick up a paper cup in the street and put it in the bin, you are making the world a better place. So the size of your contribution doesn't matter. It's the intention that matters. And you have all the best intentions.
Yeah,
and the audience.
Yeah, that's actually a very important thing to understand as well. And we had a question about your style. How did you find it, and how were you watching what appeals to people, or did you just follow your heart, so to say?
Did I watch what appeals to people? No, I didn't do any research to find out what I should post or what I should create. I've never done that. So I think in a way I followed my heart. But of course, when I see that people like a particular image, for example, my hand drawings are quite successful, or, you know, when I draw something on my feet, it goes down very well. So of course it makes me think, oh, why don't I do something else in the future? But in the beginning, no, it was all my own ideas, which lived in my head for so long that they were just happy to get out there and be in the world finally.
Tell us a little bit about the actual process. I also read that you bring props from, like, trash props home.
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you have like a little home studio where you shoot all of this with like different backgrounds, or how do you do this?
The entire house is my home studio. I shoot in different corners of my flat, and I know exactly which light I have in which corner. You probably know that too, because you're a photographer. So I know exactly what time of the day to shoot where to get that particular effect. And also I have my desk and lots of colored cards and rolls, which I use for background. But mainly I photograph little things. So I think 90% of the time, an A4 colored card and a little leaf or something small is enough for me to work with. And I don't really like massive projects. They feel daunting to me, and also they require a lot more thinking and a lot more time. And also, for example, your projects, you use models, makeup artists, so it's like it's like an operation, you know, it's like a mission. You can't just quickly take a photo and edit it. So for me, it's a quick process most of the time. So it's an object, it's a card, I put it on the card, I take a picture, I edit it, done.
What kind of camera do you use? It's not your own camera.
Oh, I have a very old Canon 5D, which I think is 7 years old now. So it's an old camera and a couple of lenses for it. And yeah, I have iPhone, and quite a lot of pictures are shot on my iPhone. I think especially those which are very quick sketches, like my hands or my feet, it doesn't really matter what camera you use, because there it's not the quality of the photograph that matters, it's the idea and the quick sketch that people are drawn to. So you don't really need a lot of equipment or perfect light for that. It's a different kind of project, which just needs a few strokes, a few brush strokes, and that's it. Okay.
I'm just seeing that there's a question. Do you think it makes any difference to have no face on feed? 1% the photos with face have higher engagement.
Oh, yeah, I've read that. There are a couple of pictures of me on my feed, so I'm not hiding.
Okay. I saw one. Maybe I remember just one.
I think there are two. One with the lips, and another one with myself and the laundry basket. So they're definitely two. I think there were more, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm definitely not hiding behind behind my grid. I'm not hiding my face. It's just that I find working with objects more exciting, and I like animating inanimated things, whereas I think I myself am already animated enough. So it's mainly objects that I like to focus on. I used to photograph my children in the past, and I still have quite a few ideas for them, but it's also easier to just take a little box or a leaf or a cup and shoot that than it is to work with people, as I'm sure you understand, because working with people takes it to a whole new level.
Yes, it does. Definitely. Yeah. And I thought that the the selfie with the was it laundry basket? Yes. It was kind of like a beginning of a project of selfies.
Yes. And I still have quite a few ideas for that. And I sent you one a couple of months ago when I was experimenting with books. I don't remember if I don't remember what you said, but I think we need to collaborate on that in the future. But yes, I still have a lot of ideas for myself next to different objects, like self-portraits with humor. It's just that unfortunately I am drowning in client work at the moment. We're getting closer to Christmas, and it's always very busy for anyone who is in social media and social media marketing. This is like the busiest periods. So I promise that in January or February, you'll definitely see more of those, because they're fun and I really enjoyed working on them.
Yeah. And any other exciting personal projects you have in mind, which you will get to in January or February?
It's my book. It's this. And also I would like to launch a series of postcards and possibly gift wrap. But it's not earlier than spring, I would say.
All right. Okay. There is a question. Is your art mostly spontaneous or premeditated?
My stories are all spontaneous. I see something, I snap it, I apply a couple of GIFs to it, and I post it. It's very spontaneous. Some of my art is spontaneous too, but some of it isn't. So it's 50-50. And also sometimes the idea is spontaneous, but then I think about it more and I experiment more with how to shoot it, what background to use, what style to use. So the execution is no longer spontaneous. But yeah, the ideas can just come from anywhere.
Okay, and a very interesting question. Did you ever struggle with finding your own style? Was it hard for you, or did you just start?
It's an interesting question indeed, because until very recently I thought I had no style, and I thought that I hadn't got a style, and then people started telling me that I do have a style. So I think I still struggle believing that I have a style.
Okay, but you definitely do have a style.
Thank you, Dasha. That's very reassuring.
Well, seriously, I don't know any other account which is like yours. It's immediately when I see a piece of content, like, oh, that's Helga's work. Of course you have your style, but so it wasn't that easy for you then to find it, or?
I think what I post on Instagram is just the tip of an iceberg, and 95% of my work remains offline or remains in the accounts of my clients. So if you see something I do for a client for a specific brief, you probably wouldn't even know that it's my work as well, because it's a different side of my creativity and a different, I don't know, it could be a craft project or it could be pure photography. So, but yes, I think in my account, the combination of photography and illustration, or interesting combination of I don't know, animation and still could be called my style, but I do a lot more outside of Instagram.
Okay. And I have another question. You probably, it's appropriate to say that you are now a very successful artist and content creator. What did you wish you knew when you were just starting out? What advice would you give to yourself like 10 years ago when you were just graduating from the college?
I would say to myself that it's important to believe that you could do whatever you wanted to do. My problem was always defining the exact style, the exact thing which I would pursue. So, for example, I wanted to find only one thing, which would be photography or animation or product design. And I was convinced that the only way to success was to focus on that and work in that direction. But now I know that there could be different recipes for success, and I could still do lots of different things and be successful in doing them. Probably I will never become a successful photographer, like, you know, portrait photographer, but I'm not aiming for that. I could still do a different thing and combine it with, for example, doing props or making things, or working with clients like Sugru, where I create stuff, for example, like this. So we are
that's a cool
upcycled the charger with the product. So I think it's important to believe that whatever you want to do is achievable, as long as you are prepared to spend your time doing this and investing all your energy in this. So you don't have to focus on a very narrow thing. You know, you don't have to have a very narrow focus. Your creativity could have, you know, could go into many things, and they all could have their place in this world, and they could all be successful. So I think this is the advice I would give to my 24-year-old self. Just believe in what you want to do, even if everybody else says it's unachievable.
Yeah, it's the most important thing, I think, that just don't listen to anyone else, because people, they don't know you, they don't know what you can do, and even in the very beginning, you yourself don't realize what you can do.
Exactly.
And people, they have their own judgments. They just see the situation from their perspective, and that's like, it's not yours. And you're here to create your own thing. And yeah, it's a great thing that you could combine all of those arts, all of those like video and photography and like whatnot, illustration sometimes, together. It's, again, what makes you unique, I think.
But I think it's very important what you said about believing in yourself and believing in your future self, because very often we don't know what we're going to become in a few years' time. So it's very important to work hard and really explore what you would like to do, like really give yourself time to taste different things, to try to really dive into the field that you enjoy at the moment and see whether it takes you somewhere. So it is really important to give yourself time to try as many creative things as you want. And as you want.
That's totally true. But sometimes it can be really hard, especially when you're very young and you have your parents or your spouse maybe who just say that, come on, what are you doing here? It doesn't bring you money. that you need to find a real job or something like that. It can be hard, but that's your task to just stick to your thing, be true to yourself, and yeah, that's the only way how you find it, your style, your thing in this life.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get yourself a simple job to make the ends meet and still continue doing something creative on the side. So there are lots of ways of making a living somehow before you can earn money with your art. Yeah, but I think it all goes down to believing in yourself, and this is what's really important.
Yeah, it all gets down to psychology in the end.
Yeah,
it's just
psychology. Yeah, positive psychology. True.
Yeah. How do clients find you right now? Is it just basically word of mouth in like business world, or do they get you from Instagram? How is
Yeah, sometimes it's both. It's word of mouth in the business world, because I work for big clients and they have they have clients of their own who then become my clients, and also Instagram. I get quite a few clients from Instagram.
Okay. Very interesting. I will take one more question. What are your favorite iPhone apps, Helga?
My favorite iPhone apps are Stop Motion. It's for animation. I use it all the time. It's very simple, very straightforward, but super effective. Also, I like, what do I like?
Do you have
I don't have anything else. All other things are done on my desktop. I don't use that many apps. At least I can't name any off the top of my head. Yeah, I use Adobe Creative Suite for everything. I use After Effects, Photoshop, Illustrator, and I really like sitting at my desk drawing. So I'm not used to doing editing on my phone. This is something I don't enjoy for some reason. I think it shows my age, but it's true. And yes, Stop Motion is a great app if you want to do simple animation. It works wonders. It's really good, and it's free.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for the recommendation. And I also don't do anything on my phone. I know that I haven't even tried Lightroom mobile still. I have it installed, but I don't.
Yeah, same here. I have it installed. I have a lot of apps, which whenever you see cute effects like little stars or snowfall, and I'm like, yeah, I need to try this at least for my client. I download it and then I forget about it. Oh, thank you. It shows your craft, not your age. Thank you. Yes. It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
There was a question about your business, about how do you sell items internationally? Is it easy to sell gloves outside UK or?
Yes, I would say it's fairly easy because I have an online shop with international shipping options. I print out the labels, I pay for postage, and then I take it to the post office and they deal with the rest. So I don't think there is any difference between selling domestically and internationally these days, or maybe my items are too small and there are difficulties for larger items. I don't know, but where I'm concerned, there is no difference.
That's yeah, I very much agree. And I also had a since you were not born in the UK, right?
No.
Since we are both Russian speakers.
Yes.
So
I was born in Siberia. I was born in Omsk.
Omsk. Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm from Kurgan.
Ah, so we're neighbors.
I've never been to Omsk, but my very close cousin, he lives in Novosibirsk. So
yeah,
kind of the Siberia region as well. I've been there a lot of times. My question, was it hard to start your career in like a foreign country, which is not your home? like far away from your parents probably as well, or are they still there?
My parents live in Germany. We
Oh, okay.
emigrated when I was 19. My grandmother was German, so we could go to Germany after Soviet Union had collapsed. But to answer your question, I think it's always difficult to start something new, no matter where you are. Of course, family is important because they give you support. I was lucky I had the support from my husband, both emotional and financial.
That's
and I think this is where I was and am very privileged because I didn't have to rely on my business to make my ends meet. I knew that we would always have food on the table, and that enabled me to explore my creativity more. And I'm not taking this for granted. I'm really grateful to my husband and my family for that support. But also for me, it all happened at the same time. Motherhood, coming to the UK for the second time because we left after I graduated. So it was all, all at once, and I was very confused. And I went through a couple of difficult years, but I think every entrepreneur goes through difficulties, no matter where they are. There are difficulties even in the country you were born in, because even if you're born in that country, you never know the law, you never know how to do business there unless your family is in the same business and you've known that since you were a baby. But most of the time it's new for everyone.
And right now Instagram tells us that we have less than a minute remaining. So to say that it was a great pleasure to talk to you. And I have many more questions, and I will maybe we'll do it again because I think that was very fruitful.
This wraps the interview up. I strongly encourage you to follow Helga on Instagram for her latest updates and her hilarious stories. All the links can be found in the show notes to this episode. Just go to dashapears-art.com/podcast. Another thing before I bounce, it's an honor for me to be in your ears, and I really appreciate you listening to this episode. If you like this podcast, please go to your podcasting app and hit like. It helps more people benefit from the content I'm putting out there. Now, until next time, take care.